Hey, it's Casper, and I'm extremely excited to share the interview that you're about to watch with Dr. Kim Duramo. And I wanted to take a moment to explain to you the significance of this for me and why I'm excited for this interview. As you may know, if you've been following my work, for the past almost 2 years, I've been working on this project called Sail the Stars, which is now becoming the Star Tribe as well. And what we're doing is we're crowdfunding a massive expedition style sailboat, filling it with satellite internet and amazing cameras and video equipment, and just going sailing around the world and inviting incredible people, artists, musicians, authors, speakers, and people who have messages to share that can change our world and humanity in some way and uplift us, to bring out of people their genius through adventure. And so I'm a sailor at heart, and this is why I created this wild vision, or came through me rather, and I've been working on it. And so we're at a point now where we've got like a third of the funds, and it's moving forward bit by bit. We don't have the boat yet, but we're getting there, and we're inviting these amazing people who would be up for this. And so I've been blown away as one of my core teachers and inspirations in my life over the past year has been Dr. Kim Duramo. This woman is amazing. She is bringing in a completely new paradigm of health on the planet. She assists people in healing and reversing even serious illness through consciousness alone, through the power of the mind-body connection. And her work is freaking phenomenal and so powerful. It has shifted my life and helped me tremendously with the things I've been dealing with in my life and my body. And I've been involved in one of her main biggest courses, Be the Medicine, over the past many months in the American Institute of Mind Body Health. And she's just an incredible leader. She's got a massive following of people as she's shifting people's lives, and more people are catching on to her message. And so she has agreed to come join Sail the Stars on board when we go and set sail, and also to support the Star Tribe community. So I couldn't be more excited. This is like our opening interview where she's just sharing her message and her story. So without any further ado, I'm going to cut to the interview so you can enjoy it without, and you know why I'm so excited. So thank you so much, Kim, for this and for your support. And let's cut to the interview. Welcome, everybody. This is a amazing day. I'm super excited and probably a little bit nervous. I'm interviewing today one of my amazing teachers in my life, Kim Duramo. Kim, welcome.
Hi.
So Kim has an incredible story to share. She used to be an emergency room doctor, a physician, and I believe working sometimes even late nights in the emergency room. And she had this
All hours, all hours.
she had this incredible gift that was brewing inside of her for many, many years before she fully embraced it, to help people heal, not just with the scalpel, but with the mind and body connection, and really connecting people with the power of the spirit and the higher dimensional wisdom that is really responsible for healing the body, allowing people to reverse illness. And so these days she helps people reverse illness, and not just like the common cold or the flu, but sometimes very serious illnesses that we would think are incurable, with the power of the mind and body connection. So this is something I'm so excited to introduce Kim to the community, to the Star Tribe community, but also because she has been a tremendous aid in my life, and a teacher that was far and way beyond just healing the body. Because I used to think this is all separate. I had the body and the business and the relationship, but what Kim teaches is an overall wisdom that the body's here to guide us towards our destiny, towards our joy in life, towards our fulfillment. And she has so much wisdom to share. So I can't be more excited to welcome you, Kim. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to connect with your group.
So I don't know where to start. I mean, I guess we'll just start where every podcast starts, to introduce you to this group. Tell us about your story. How did you start doing this, and what are you doing right now to assist people with healing?
So my journey, I guess, really started when I was younger and had this awakening experience, which was a very surprising thing, because I used some marijuana with my friend, And I had done it maybe once before, but this was like a completely like an ayahuasca like experience, although I didn't know what that was at the time, and I didn't have a spiritual guide, and I didn't have any context for what was happening. It was just this massive unleashing of higher intelligence and wisdom, and like a release of everything I thought was true about everything. And so it wasn't like this amazing heightened spiritual experience. It was that, but it was mostly very, very scary and really, really disruptive to like who I thought I was or what I thought was real. And so if you like say you get a 20-year journey of studying, I guess like law of attraction or consciousness or spirituality, and you learn like, whoa, I'm not a physical solid thing, or I'm not just in this physical solid world. I'm one with this world. And that's like a nice bumper sticker idea. But if you actually experience it, it is, and you're not prepared, it's really scary, because the veil of that like buffer between your thought and your creation was completely resolved. And so it was like being like a bull in a china shop, where I didn't have any practice. I'd never meditated in my life. I was 16 years old. I was raised Catholic, so I didn't even really have a context of spirituality. But I could feel and experience my thoughts creating what was happening. And so it got really heightened and really intense and really scary. And it was kind of like a psychotic episode, because I was just freaking out. And it was, it's a moment I'll never forget. But it was also this moment of a download where you read Eckhart Tolle or you read a book and you're like, whoa, I get this. But if you actually just experience it full out for 10 minutes, there's no going back. And so it took years to kind of integrate that. And I had panic attacks. I was diagnosed psychiatrically, like every few months, it was a new diagnosis, because no one had any idea what was actually going on. And I realized, Kim, you gotta fly under the radar here. You gotta rein this back in, and you're going to figure this out on your own, because if you keep talking about this, everyone just thinks you're crazy. And so I did actually do that. I was able to sort of like, I learned on my own breathing techniques that could soothe my body. So when I went into panic, it wouldn't explode, and I could kind of like move through that. I began reading books to help understand spirituality and help understand how are we connected? How are our thoughts affecting what's happening around us? I was later introduced to other doctors in mind body medicine, not other doctors because I wasn't a doctor then, but these prominent doctors studying mind body medicine. And I just read everything I could possibly get my hands on about what's actually happening in here, and how is it affecting our cells, and how is it affecting our world and others. So I had a lot more of a context, a scientific context for what I experienced. I had to make that be the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because otherwise it was going to be the worst thing that ever happened to me, that could have just destroyed me. But I studied and learned and connected with my body so that I could let my body integrate this and release some of the stuff I was taught to believe, that we're a solid, separate self and all these other things are just crazy. So I through the years and years of, sort of learning, but also flying under the radar, I had to connect with the wisdom in my body in a bigger way, so I had to connect with source, and not just my thoughts about source, which would just create more fear. And so I learned, full out. It was very challenging, but I knew I would become a doctor. I knew that I had a vision during that episode, that what I was seeing and what I was downloading, this higher truth that like, whoa, we're really just scratching the surface when we look at disease and think it's this thing. Here's what's actually happening. Here's this whole dynamic of everything involved, and that the body is energetic, not just physical. I began to see that I would actually be sharing this as a physician, not just like some kid who used some drugs and no one's going to listen to me. I was shown, no, you're going to do it like this. And that when you get there, the world will be ready for this message. And that was, yeah, I know it was way before medical school. So, and way before the internet too. Like I was, okay, I'm going to be 50 Tuesday. So if you do the math, I was 16 then. This was a while ago before there was any context for like, how would I even share this? I would just sound completely bonkers if I said anything about what I perceived. But you know what? Once you receive the inspiration for your vision, the truly inspired vision, you are always going to receive the context that supports you doing it. So I think I learned, like, don't be afraid when there's the ask that you're like, no, that I couldn't possibly. I didn't do that. I actually knew, like, yep, this is my life's mission, and I will commit myself, devote myself to being this person and to living this life. And I knew that that would be my fulfillment. And of course, all along the way, like, I don't think I've ever shared it this way before, but I'm realizing how much I was supported. Like the fact that I even got into medical school, the fact that when I went to medical school, it was an osteopathic medical school. So there was a lot of training in presence and how healing actually happens in the body. And I was accepted into a program to do an extra year of osteopathic training to learn cranial sacral osteopathy and how to have an impact on the health in the body, right? Because the observer effect, we are affecting matter and reality. And I'm seeing how even more divinely intended and divinely assisted I was, because from the space I was in, it was like, I could have just thought, like, there's no way that's ever going to happen. I can't do that. And I actually didn't even think that, but like a lot of people, it's hard to think, wait a minute, what am I being asked to do? I could never do that. And I could have easily, I had all the reasons why, like I could have done that. But it was like door after door after door after door opened. And the year I applied to medical school, I was told, this is the number one hardest year it's ever been, the most competitive year, the hardest time to get into medical school. And I thought, well, I guess something's going to happen then, because I know where I'm going. I know life is leading me. I always knew life was leading me. And so if it was like not this way, then it'd be something even better. So that is really how my journey went. And it was after I did my residency in the ER with trauma and critical care. And I was working full time in the ER, pretty miserable. I would go to my shift and even if I'd just gotten back from vacation, like, I'm ready. Okay. I'm refreshed. Yeah, I can pull this off. 20 minutes into my shift, there'd be this heaviness and dread of like, oh my God, I just wish I could die right now. And I'd be like, no, oh my God, no, I'm only 20 minutes into my shift. I got to make this work. So I started praying, God, please show me, where is my real life? I know we were lining something up here. Where am I going with this? The ER was never meant to be my final plan. And so after like 2 years was when I was like very regularly asking for that guidance. And that came in the form of being asked to teach at a new osteopathic medical school. And that was really what ended my full-time ER journey. I still did moonlighting in the ER, but I really got more to work with what I'm really here to do. And that has evolved into a practice where I assist people in healing the body, but it's by shifting their consciousness, understanding we are pure energy. You've got to first shift to begin to realize you're not just a physical thing. We are all interconnected and actually intercommunicating. And when you participate on the level of I'm just a physical, solid, separate self, there's way less possibilities. Of course, you're like, okay, I got a physical disease. I got to do a physical surgery or medication. That's all you see, but it doesn't mean that's all you could access. And so I bring people through that journey of dropping in and connecting with the intelligence that created us and allowing that to do what it's capable of doing in the body so that the body can come into health and disease can completely resolve.
I've thank you for that amazing intro. So I just went through your program, the Beta Medicine program, which was this 4 month commitment, and it was absolutely mind blowing. It shifted my life. I mean, you guys, if you're if you as anybody on this call that's suffering from anxiety or chronic fatigue or depression or pain, fibromyalgia, or any kind of physical symptom, you've got to check out Kim's work. I mean, I don't really know where we're gonna go in this interview, but like ultimately, what you realize with Kim's work is that it's all interconnected, and it's all about opening the body to possibility and that higher consciousness. And before, for me, this was somewhat connected, but more of like a mental concept. Working with you, I've gotten a much deeper depth of connection to that, and have been able to soften and actually start to receive that higher dimensional wisdom, because it's not just about healing the body. It's all about also about listening to your heart. And a lot of people here in Star Tribe are here because they want to turn their dreams into reality, right? They want to learn how to come into alignment, which of course is all connected to your health as well. When you come into alignment, like you said there, that sense of heaviness or dread, which is really that like disconnection from your purpose, also seems to vanish. So like, what would you say? And I've heard you say this in many different ways, but what's like the main key, if someone only got one thing out of this interview, to tapping into that?
I would say that accessing deeper sensation, deeper tuning into sensation will access you to a deeper potency of that wisdom, because it's right here, it's right now, it's always here, it's always now, it's always available. But am I here? Am I now? Am I in my head thinking about what might happen later? Am I trying to fix and solve the outer reality? Where am I putting my attention? And so I think the most essential thing is to remember it's always here. Am I here? Where am I? And then to use practice to bring your awareness and attention into this now moment. And for me, that's been through the body. The body can only live in the now. It can't disconnect the way the mind can and live in like an alternate reality, which is a fabrication. It can only be here. So if you tune into sensation, touch your body, bring sensation, feel and witness and hear your breath, you will begin to come more and more into the now. And it's through that presence to sensation. What am I feeling and experiencing? What are the thoughts floating around? You might have awareness of that. What are my emotions? What's actually happening? Life will begin to show you.
I know I came to your work in the beginning because I had this, in the same way, this like tremendous chronic fatigue that just started to appear in my body. And at this point, I had tried everything in my life, all the different diets and all kinds of different things. So I knew none of it was related to that. And I found one of your videos, which is the tapping on the fatigue. And it was just like night and day in one moment. And I remember it was just this magic phrase that came in, which I didn't get until that moment. It was like, it's okay that this is happening, right? And that love and compassion just being the key to like neutralizing the field in the body that's creating the actual symptom on the outside.
Well, I feel inspired that one little piece spoke to you. We just created a little mini series, and I wanted to give people like a little sound bite where maybe they just found this work and they're not going to invest hundreds of dollars or hours and hours, but they could do like 10 minutes for 5 days. And it just really inspired me that you said that, because sometimes those little hits of encouragement, it helps to know there's really potency there of even putting some small thing out that maybe that's all someone can receive because they don't really believe or they don't know. So they can, all right, I'll give you 5 minutes, that they can actually get some tangible experience that could be meaningful and life-changing and allow them to continue opening to this journey.
That's the beauty of this work, is that it's so powerful. Like, you look at the allopathic route and it's very taxing and it doesn't really ultimately lead to like vibrant health. But with your work, what I'm seeing in my own life and other people experiencing throughout the program that I've witnessed, it's just like in a moment, right? And you've also been very humble and saying like, it's not me, it's not you, it's just source coming here and assisting you, right?
Well,
And
when you said Kim has so much wisdom, I did have the awareness, like, well, one of the things I want to make sure to say is that I've just developed the ability to open, so like the wisdom of the universe, like the source or God or whatever, can come through. And I probably actually don't have any wisdom, but that we can just practice to be an open space for that life force to come through.
yeah.
And it's important that everybody knows that we all can do that. We have all access to the infinite wisdom just the same. It's just like, have I practiced opening to let it through, or am I like living in closure, which
Yeah.
if I think I'm a solid, separate, lacking individual, I'm going to tense down in fear and clamp down in tension, and like I don't let any of that wisdom in.
That's the most exciting thing that I'm the most excited about, is what's happening in my nervous system as a result of working with you, because it's all about that relaxation. And that's where the ease comes in, and why I'm so excited to have you part of Start Drive and bringing you here is because, you don't just teach the health stuff, you teach the primal stuff, which affects everything else. And what you embody is this ease, which I've been so attracted to learn from you, this ease of life that I know flows through you. And I think you talk about a lot, right? And that, like, when you soften the body, when you just allow that softness, allow yourself to be here in the moment and really deeply, deeply, deeply feel what's here, not just the top layer, like, I'm okay, I'm fine. First, the crap comes out, but then the ease comes in, right? And the ideas and the flow and the wisdom and the alignment that comes into life. So I just want to share, like, through working with you, that's starting to come into my life so much, especially with working with people. I've started to be able to just pick stuff up and just stuff just happens, and healing happens with processes. It's magical. Yeah.
Well, that's an important thing, because life wouldn't be worth living, for me anyway. Being so sensitive, you feel the density, and it's like, it wouldn't be worth living if my marriage wasn't awesome, if there wasn't peace in my home, and if I were doing my life from separation. That's how it would be. It'd be like, well, the more I make, and more I put into my business, and more I make my business great, the more my marriage would suffer. Or the more I invest in my relationship with my children, the more maybe I'm not making money, or like it's all separate. And that isn't how life is meant to be lived. And when we live from oneness, all of it flourishes as any of it flourishes. So I wouldn't be putting investment into a business that didn't really bring me more alive and make me feel fulfilled in oneness, right? Why would you do that? And so in oneness, the more you do in any sector of your life, the more it feeds and fuels and flourishes all of the areas of your life.
So that's perfect, because I have this thing I wanted to segue into. I didn't know if I was going to start the interview with this, but I'm going to just throw it in there. So I announced this interview a couple of days ago, and to my email list. And I used to publish like a lot of like kind of conspiracy information years ago. So a lot of people are kind of still on that train. And one of the emails that just came into my account was like all caps. I mean, I felt compassion for this man, but also I laughed a little bit, because it was like, quit using Zoom and alerting the enemy. If you want anything in your life to work out, you must stop, or the enemy will get you. And so I had this moment of like, wow, I used to actually think that way years ago. And so, a lot of the work you teach isn't just about health. It's about this unity consciousness, right? Which is where all this stems from, the vitality, the vibration, the flow. So, a lot of us are aspiring to be in that unity consciousness, especially the tribe here. But how do we enter that? What are the practical steps when you're feeling tight, when you're feeling contracted, when you feel like the enemy's out there?
Yeah. Okay. This is a great point to access this question is, we have this duality of good and bad. And in duality, even when we understand I'm energy and frequency and vibration, I'm pure consciousness, there's this like, well, I want to get to higher consciousness. I want to get to a better place. I want to get to there. I don't want to be here. And that actually creates a rejection of where I am now. And so the rejection of like, don't go on Zoom, which is pretty fascinating, because I'm, as you're saying it, thinking of why we're still using Facebook for many of our online groups. And I've been really, really clear that is the right move right now. And my mind has been like, well, maybe we should do this. But it's very clear. Nope, we stay exactly where you are. And it's because everything is a reflection of our consciousness. And so it's not like there's darkness out there and there's a bad thing out there and there's this evil thing. The structures we're in will dissolve and new things will come in, or will heighten and change and morph as we ourselves shift, which is already happening. We see lots of evidence for that. So it's not about like get rid of the bad thing necessarily. It's really more about be fluid with where you are. For example, we're drinking water. Okay. So would it be fluid? One time there was a whole person I interviewed about the frequency of water, and it was amazing. And one of the things she said was like, all the different things that you could do to heighten the frequency of the water. And she talked about this one well that was, I don't even know where it was in the world. And it was healing people, like literally their cancer would just resolve and diseases would go away. And so of course, everyone's thinking like, where is it? Well, how do I get that? But it wouldn't be fluid to try to, it's not a mass produced bottled water company. So I kind of let that part go. And then I thought, well, what can we do to our water? And so she shared some things, and it was like, you could put it in the crystal bowl and you could harmonize it. And then I imagine like pouring my kids water every day from the sound bowl. Okay. That's not so hard to do, but it still didn't feel totally fluid. And what I realized was the greatest thing I could do that would be totally fluid and would be, magically harmonizing to the water was just to hold it to my heart and allow it to resonate with my intention. And I brought it up in the interview, and she said, well, of all the water they tested, this water from that spring, this water that had been harmonized by monks, this, whatever, the most powerful way they found to harmonize water was with pure intention. And it was so validating to like my own awareness. And so, yeah, there's like bad stuff in your water and you're like, I need to do this and I need to do that. And you just realize, okay, let me just work with what I have in the most harmonic way. Like I have 2 kids. And if I tried to only ever have them eat food that had, from fresh from a farm and pure ingredients, I would drive myself crazy. And I'd be such a frenetic mess that no one in the house would be healthy. So I've got to soften around the fact that like, all right, there's some shit in the food. And is it toxic? Oh my God, yes. I studied this for years of like all the carcinogens and But can I be in a reality where it isn't so much affecting us? Maybe the body's detoxification pathways are just like operating at our prime. And so we're doing great anyway. And I realized that for me right now, yes, I buy organic food and we do the best we can with, with healthy eating, but that the most important thing I could do was just let life be on my side and not get into the nitty gritty of, being the perfectionist and trying to avoid all the bad stuff. That there's a frequency we can enter of ease and grace that allows our body to be fluid with those things that may be here. So here we are on Zoom, we have Zoom. It's one of the most fluid ways for us to do this. And can we be in harmony with this? Yeah. So
how do you deal right now with the world? I know a lot of people, I think, in this tribe are looking at that because we're looking to enter our hearts, do the good in the world. But for a lot of people, there's this thought, like, but all those crap happening, like, what's the point? What about the tyrants? What about the freaking Illuminati? Like, where does that sit in the body? How do you transmute that?
I actually did a broadcast on this yesterday. I do a weekly live broadcast for MindBody TV on Wednesdays at 11 Mountain Time. And if you go to the MindBody community in Facebook, all the replays are there, or on my YouTube, Dr. Kim Duramo, all the replays are there. And it was a touch into exactly that when we start to awaken and we see like some of the real darkness, it's like, well, I always knew there was something going on in the food industry. And, I always knew there's corruption in the government, but then you really look and you're like, oh my God, I actually never imagined it could be that dark. Although maybe you have, maybe it did when you learned it. Because for me, I said, this is true. I know that this resonates with something I've always known inside about the dark in the world and how deep it really goes. Anyway, when you awaken to that, you can go into fear because it's like, oh my God, the bad guys are getting us and they have so much power and they're everywhere. And so the powerlessness and fear, you could go into anger. I can't believe this is bullshit. Blah, blah. And you fight, which will also eventually exhaust your energy. And it's a higher frequency than powerlessness. Great. But it's also a lower frequency than joy and peace. And so that isn't really going to be the best functioning space. You can go into righteousness, right? Of like activism and I'm going to do this and this is the right and wrong, but you're still in duality and you're still in judgment and you're still fighting something. And so all of these are like that fourth dimensionality of, you know, the 3D is like, I just trust everything at face value. Life is happening to me. And if I work real hard and follow the rules, it'll work out. And then you kind of get bumped out of that and realize like, wait a minute. And you have some understanding of unity and connection and we are creators and all that. But you haven't actually come into the full consciousness of oneness. You're still in the duality. You're still fighting the bad guy. You're still trying hard to manifest the thing that you want because you perceive that you're separate from it. And so in that 4D space, like we end up realizing like, I'm kind of wasting a lot of energy. I'm kind of spinning my wheels on the hamster wheel. I'm kind of working really hard. And that's when we make a choice. The first one, you get bumped out of it and life's like, let me just kick you out of that to come into something new. But this one has to be a conscious choice to release everything I think I know for something that is more aligned with truth. And it's only when we realize that spinning on that hamster wheel isn't the peace I'm actually ready to live, isn't the prosperity I actually choose. It's like a pseudo prosperity. Like, let me keep chasing the carrot. I'm going to have this. I'm going to have that. I'm going to manifest. But you realize, wait a minute, I don't feel joy. I feel like I'm about to get to joy, but I'm not actually living joy. That's when we'll finally make a choice to leave behind everything we think we know and allow life to live through us. And that's really when we surrender the fight. And so what if seeing what gets revealed, you know, the darkness and the stuff that's actually like what's really happening behind that curtain is only the result of your ascension. Like it's always been there. It's always been this way. When I'm learning in the history of government and finances, and I'm learning more about this, this is none of it's new at all. It's just newly seen. And once we start to see what if the revelation, it's now kind of undeniable, is just evidence that you've ascended, that you've now ascended into a dimension where shit can't be hidden the way it could before. And now it's all going to come out. And so you could have a little mini celebration every time you're more aware of the darkness and realize it is getting revealed or outed because of our consciousness. We are more conscious, but not like I'm so smart. We are more love. We are more light. We are more grace. We are more choosing true freedom. Freedom is not something that we fight for. It's something we choose to remember that we already are. And so the world will reflect our consciousness. And a lot of stuff, especially this year, is going to spill out and be revealed and be seen. And you don't have to let it be evidence of something wrong or something to fight or something bad, because the darkness has no intrinsic power. It only has power that you give it by suppressing the light within yourself.
I love what you said about joy, and actually like coming into the recognition of like, is this actually uplifting for me? And I kind of like, before doing your work, I kind of walked that halfway because my life was already moving into joy, right? But I would have parts of me that were like, well, maybe this is kind of irresponsible. Maybe I should go to a peace rally and like start this other movement against that and this. But it's like through doing this work and constantly, like, guys, I've breathed more into my heart than I ever have over the past 4 or 5 months with Kim. And what you realize is that like everything out there, your bank account, Bill Gates, the Zoom, the Facebook, whatever, your family, your love life, your body, it's all just like in your body as like a little vibration. And the moment you like relax and breathe into it, it dissolves and like all of a sudden everything starts to look very, very different, more peaceful, more aligned. And before you knew it, like that thing that you were like upset about gets like more exposed and starts dissolving. And those people start being like, having their own awakenings. And it's like, whoa, something else entirely different is going on here. It's like, I get it. Ascension. We're all ascending in vibration through this like magical holographic field that seems to just assemble and reflect whatever is happening inside of us. But like a lot of people don't realize that like the resistance against our own feelings and against our own truth is what causes the greatest mess for us in our own lives and in our bodies and in our health.
And that's one of the reasons why you are so powerful as a human being and as a leader is, you've done great things and people will be attracted to the fact that you've created community, you've made millions of dollars and created prosperity in businesses or done cool things. But the reason why you are shifting the planet, the reason why you're so powerful and why you will aspire so much in others is because of your willingness to meet what has lived in you. It's a simple thing, but that is the number one most powerful thing we can do is your willingness to meet spaces of shame, spaces of fear, spaces of inadequacy, spaces of, I don't even know what this is, but like, I'm going to meet what's here instead of trying to escape to what I want to be instead. And you've made a real devotion to be that integrity, to be that authentic person. And the authenticity and the integrity is really where the power is, not in the external.
Oh, thanks, Kim. I guess I'll take it. Does anybody have any questions?
It's not an easy thing though, right? Like none of those were easy and the mind fights it, but you had that devotion. And so you did it anyway, and you cleared yourself to be more of a being of light.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Does anybody have any questions for Kim, guys? We've got I think about 10 more minutes here with Kim. I'd love to open it up for some Q&A. If you guys are struggling with anything in your life, this woman can you just like say one thing and warp your mind. You don't miss this opportunity. What are you struggling with? What's going on in your health that you'd love help with? Type it in the chat if you
Byron is his hand up there.
Oh, Byron.
Yes,
how about we just
yes.
bring Byron on for a moment? Yeah. Byron, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you see me?
Yeah.
All right. Well, lovely to be here. It's 1 a.m. right now in Malaysia, and I definitely didn't want to miss this talk, so I did everything I could to stay awake for it, even though it's a working day tomorrow. So Kim, really an honor to meet you, and I've been resonating a lot with what you said. 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, I did a 10-day course with this woman called Ina Segal in Australia. And she has this very intense program, like 10 days of healing at the etheric level and understanding all of these aspects. And I didn't quite follow through with that class. It's like I did it, but then I got stuck in the details. And I'm hearing something similar from your teaching, is that the healing doesn't happen only at the physical level. So how does your work contrast with hers? Not like I'm not looking for a line by line comparison, but I'm looking for this this confidence that if I do your program, that I would move forward and actually use it.
Let's look at what you're actually asking, which I think is more, there maybe was something in that program that was maybe too rigid or not fully aligned, or what? I want to get a little more of a sense of what you're looking for, because I think it's there. It's
Yes.
almost like, can it really be fluid for me and I could still fully receive? Maybe the work she was doing was in too much of a rigid structure.
There was aspects of it that looked too woo-woo. It was like it was going too far into aspects of the esoteric.
And what is it that you're actually looking for to heal or to step into or to become?
Yeah. So initially, I wanted to use that program to be a healer myself, because I studied prior to that to physically heal the body through holistic means and healing thyself. And then I realized that wasn't enough, and I wanted to go to the next level. And I thought that was the program that would take me there, but it didn't. And I'm still looking to heal myself because I have these underlying traumas that are just not going away, and they're manifesting in the physical form. So that's where I'm at.
So it seems like the question is more like, is there really a path for me where, as I accelerate in my own wholeness, I can share that with others and fully express this and prosper in my life to express who I'm really here to be and have that feed me?
Yes, exactly. Because when I was expressing what I learned with her, I was getting a lot of resistance from my environment. And I don't know if it was because of the way I was expressing it or, my alignment with it.
Yeah. And so it's not so much about my work or my program or how it's different. It's, I think the first piece to answer within yourself, which we can definitely do, is what my heart is actually asking for attainable for me? Is it really possible for me to live that full a life where I'm free from disease and I'm sharing my truth with others? And maybe you're not even just like, I'm completely free from everything, but I'm in my journey and I'm learning and growing. And it's a challenge, but like, it's an engaging challenge. Like, and I'm in a fulfillment with navigating that challenge and learning and growing and expanding, as I also, which it seems like is in your heart, share this with others and work that is meaningful for me and has a positive impact.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, the answer is 100% yes, because your system wouldn't be asking for that. And even like you're lighting up as we're more pinpointing it and dialing it in, like, oh yeah, that is who I'm here to be. And so, yes, you really are here to be the expression of all of that and more. And any time you choose something that resonates with you, it will bring you more fully along that journey. And it's always a matter of like your level of devotion to living that truth that will have the right person or the right pathway or course present itself. And then like the money and the investment and like, oh, I just happen to have that weekend off, line up. It's always going to be a reflection of, am I in my devotion? I'm choosing this, period. And that's when the universe opens up and resources come in and the right people come in. And so always kind of look for that. Like, am I in full devotion to what my life is asking me to live?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I have lived that in the past through other teachers that have come in front of me. Like everything just happened. Everything was perfectly smooth, a journey. So yeah, I'm definitely with you on that.
And there may have been part of that course that like had you see something and like there's a value in it anyway of like, oh, sometimes we might be too linear or rigid, and let me be mindful of when I'm communicating that I don't buy into that limitation. Some people, and I've never heard of this person before, but it sounds like she's doing amazing work. But it's what's for one person might not be for another. So learn what you can, because it's part of your journey. So it really isn't wrong. And you can continue to receive whatever may have been experienced there, because it will enhance who you're here to be.
All right. Thank you for the great answer.
Thank you, Byron.
Thank you for the great question.
How are you, Kim? Do you have time for one more? Are you
Yes.
Off? Okay.
Yeah.
I think Christine Steman. Did you want to come up, Christine? You unmuted yourself before.
Oh, she wrote, what is the best way to
Uh-huh.
connect to the inner self?
Do you want to? Yeah, I think Christine wanted to come up here for a moment. She unmuted herself, so I'll just ask her to unmute. Hi,
Am I here
Christine.
now? Am I
Yeah,
there?
hi.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, Christine. You're welcome. How's it going?
Good. Yeah, I would like some help on knowing how to connect to the inner self. I mean, I've been stewing in this realm for years and think I understand it intellectually, but don't seem to get there in reality. And my home, my relationships are not real harmonious and haven't been, and I just keep spinning around and around and don't get that resolved.
Okay. Thank you. So I have a process that's called the instant elevation technique, which was my way of connecting into the now being like what's actually happening in this moment, so that I could let wisdom in. And so if we think of the inner self more as the receptor and the wisdom more as the, the divinity that creates us, when we connect with the inner self, or we connect with the now moment, we are way more receptive to that wisdom. And so this is a really great method to do that. And there's a longer version on my YouTube channel called the Instant Elevation. But basically, the first step is to practice awareness. So it's ABC tool. The A is that I begin to practice tuning in to what I'm feeling and sensing in my body. And so if you close your eyes and you let your awareness come in, and you can bring it to the space around your heart. And it's helpful to just do it versus learn it or write it down, because then we just stay in the mind and we are not actually letting in experience. And it makes us feel a sense of protection. Like, okay, I got this written down, so I have it whenever I need it. But if you haven't integrated it, that's not the same thing. And so if you just trust that practicing this in this now moment will be the best way for you to access it again and again in the future. You let go of that outer and you just connect. So feel the space of your heart and soften your shoulders. As soon as you soften your shoulders, and sometimes I'll bring them up and tighten them and breathe in, and then I'll just exhale and let them go. You release tension your body was holding, and that allows you to feel more of the sensation in your body. So in truth, your body is a giant receptor, and you can be bombarded with the lower energies of all the things someone's telling you to be afraid of, or you can be a receptor for divine intelligence and tune in to that channel. And as soon as you soften your body, you tune in more to the truth, which is love. But what will happen as we soften and tune in is that we will feel things more fully. And some of these things may have been emotions we suppressed, sensations that were challenging, so we tense around them. A lot of times chronic pain syndromes are because of that. And unwanted parts of ourselves, unwanted experiences. So we tense around them to like block them out, but that actually just creates more problems. So if we soften, sometimes that's the first thing we feel. And it feels like, wait a minute, no, I'm doing it wrong. I couldn't be doing what Kim's asking me to do because I'm supposed to feel good. So just let go of that idea. You're actually just intending to feel more. And that will eventually lead to letting everything be more fluid. But in that first step, you may, so feel your body, feel your heart, notice your breath. And you're just going to practice while I'm speaking, tuning in and sensing what's here. There's three things that can happen. You may sense a sense of peace. That's wonderful. You may sense the opposite, what I just talked about, all the previously repressed densities. and you actually feel like some negative stuff. Or very often, I feel nothing. I'm doing it wrong. Am I doing it right? I don't think I'm doing it right. I think I need to ask this. I think I need to ask that. I'm broken. It doesn't work for me. I've had too much trauma. And we stay in thought. And that is absolutely perfect as well. So wherever your experience is, or along that last one is, I'm numb. I don't feel anything. That is absolutely perfect. And so whichever one is coming up for you, just be with that, but be with it willingly. Don't require it to be something different. And so just breathe, welcome whatever that experience is to be what it is to be here. Welcome in what you feel and what you sense, even if what you sense is quote unquote nothing. Your body will begin to consciously register sensation as you practice. So just stay with it. And so in this first step, awareness, we bring our awareness to the here and now, which is the only place we can access power, the only place from which creation arises, the only place where we can experience peace. And so if you stay with this, the presence will allow either a strengthening of that peace, if what you feel was the first item, a heightening of that joy and gratitude. If you're in the second piece, it will be as you welcome that density or that fear or whatever was suppressed, the quote unquote negative, you will feel it dissolve. You will see it dissolve. You'll literally see it transmute from something that is unwanted to just something to actually pure light. And you'll have a sense of ease. And if you're in that third space where there's numbness or the thoughts about, not doing it right, you will find the brain begins to let in the sensation beneath all of those thoughts, and it begins to consciously register what is happening in the body. It's just you letting you use your brain in a different way. It will begin to shift and pay attention to what you're asking it to pay attention to. And so this practice, you can practice it 3 times a day and set your alarm to say instant elevation. And you just practice A, which is the first part. I'm just going to be aware. And you can start by saying, hi, body. Here we are. How are you feeling? So there's a friendly, open communication with the now. And you will find day by day, you begin living more and more from this space. And that what enters this space is unlimited. There will be more revealed to you as you practice this presence. And so just have a few more deep breaths and soften. The more you soften your face, and the more you soften your body, the more it will reveal itself to you. This is a very important part. And before we complete, the other steps are B and C, which is simply to shift your breathing down so it comes more into the belly. That activates the relaxation response in the body, which is shown to orchestrate self-healing. And then C is conscious choice. You begin to live from the consciousness instead of from the programs. And I found this is universally a great way to connect so that you access the creator wisdom, the true wisdom, instead of the automated programs of the subconscious self. And you can just thank yourself for taking this time of connection and open your eyes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt some connection there. I felt my heart got kind of quivery and fearful, but then I got tears in my eyes and the resolution that I was okay, that as a being I am okay, which is probably what I'm trying to protect all along. The idea that I'm not.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. All right.
It takes courage. You can see how beautiful that was. It takes courage to do what you just did. I mean, that was incredible. It seems when we think we're separate solid beings that's one tiny nothing, but when we remember we are a unity, you realize what a massive act of contribution that just was to millions and millions of people everywhere. It was huge.
Well, thank you, Kim, so much for being here with us today. I know you're choosing to move on to.
I guess I'm starting my group in a few minutes, and I'm so glad we could do this. It felt like 15 minutes.
I don't know. Well, thank you so much for being here, you guys. I hope to have Kim back here again sometime. It was such a pleasure to have you here. Kim has also agreed to join us in Sail the Stars and Star Tribe, which you'll hear more about soon, as we are embarking on this mission to go sailing around the world and bring epic people on there. If you guys want to have more of Dr. Kim, check out drkimd.com. Just get anything that resonates with your heart. Has shifted my life to the upteenth degree, quantum leap to the mega level. I can't recommend it enough. Kim, thank you so much for being here. You have anything last to say before you check out?
I want to share this with everybody. This was a great group and great questions, and thank you so much. I would just say for all of you to remember how potent it is when you do something as simple as this, and it's what your heart will long for. So it will make you feel fulfilled just to do it. And those are always the things that are the greatest impact and contribution to everyone. So always remember that.
All right. Thank you, Kim. I'll send you the link.
I love you.
Ciao.
Okay. Love you guys. Bye.
Hey, hope you've enjoyed this interview, and I am so excited to have Kim on board. So thank you so much for your support. If you want to find out more about Kim's work, it's all down below this video. I couldn't recommend it enough. If it's calling you, go check it out. And if you want to learn more about what we're doing about Sail the Stars and the Star Tribe, check out the link below this video. We're building an online community around what we're doing and around assisting people into coming into their aliveness, assisting people from all walks of life, from all over the world, into coming into alignment with their heart, into coming into alignment with your joy, your purpose, so you can do what you've come here to do on this planet, and also to heal your body through the mind-body connection, because it's all the same thing. It's all interconnected. So if you'd love to be part of a community that supports you and other people in doing that all over the world, check out the link below. You're invited into the Star Tribe, and I hope to see you there. Ciao for now.